Hey everyone, it's Rob Lofreese from Daily Classics. We're going to be starting something new. I have a YouTube channel where every week I'm going to do a recap of some of the cars that we found just to have a discussion to give you a little bit more in-depth understanding of some of the cars I pick out and why I choose them. And then I'm also going to have a live feed where every week at the end of the week, maybe on Friday, we'll do a live Q&A where you can get on board and you can ask me any questions that you have about cars. You can talk about some discussions. We could talk about histories of cars. We can talk about personal stuff, education, life experiences and things like that, and have some fun. So that's what Daily Classics is moving more towards YouTube. The main focus is always going to be the Facebook page where we post cars and find cars every day. And but to get a little bit more of an in-depth understanding of not only myself and the people that we have on the page, but to talk about the cars more in depth, we'll be moving towards 2 YouTube featured videos a week. One probably on Monday that will have a recap, and then one on Friday in the morning that will have a Q&A. So that's it. I started Daily Classics during COVID because I was looking to buy a car and had a budget for around $10,000 or maybe less or more, depending on what I would find. And I said, why not share some of my experiences looking at 1,000 cars every morning? There's got to be some other people out there that enjoy what I do. And the page has now grown to almost 9,000 members. So that's pretty cool. We also have followers on our Facebook regular page as well. So it's kind of fun to see everybody enjoying the page. We have some really awesome people. We have a lot of different experienced members. Some members have worked at the factories. Some members have worked in sales. Some members are mechanics from the factory level. We have some members that are really encyclopedias. I mean, they have such a knowledge of cars. I can't even get close to their understanding of the level of detail that they have. I mean, I use, Wikipedia. I'll use AI sometimes. I'll do my own research on some cars before I post them. Some things I know right off the top of my head, but a lot of things I take the time to look up as well because I happen to love the car. You'll notice that my range of cars that I find is all over the place, and it's because my range for cars is like my consideration for what music I listen to. I mean, I'll listen to Frank Zappa in the morning, and at nighttime I'll listen to classical music. So I have a big range of music. I have a big range for cars, and that's just how it is. So I mean, I'll drive a Renault Le Car, and I'll drive a Cadillac Coupe de Ville, or it doesn't matter to me. I mean, it's the driving experience and fun. And that really makes it going for it. And if we're not having fun, then why do it? So this week we found a couple of nice cars. Thank you, Bruce Davison, for your kind commentary there. That was very nice. Your remarks about the site, I appreciate that very much. But we found a lot of different types of cars. Like we normally don't go in the $40,000 range. We normally stay within the $10,000, $15,000 to $20,000 range. It's not easy to do lately because prices have gone up. But here I found a 65 GTO, one of my favorite cars ever. This car does not have a matching drivetrain, which to me is like no big deal. I'm not going to open up a museum anytime soon that I have to worry about things like that. But this car does have non-matching numbers, a 400 CID. It's automatic, and it's got a modern air conditioning system. I thought it was dealer owned because, he had said that the steering wheel was a factory wood steering wheel, but it's not. It's an aftermarket steering wheel, but no biggie. They're looking $44,000, probably worth $35,000 to $39,000. He says in the ad that it's not a show car, so I don't know what that means because everybody has different definitions. So you have to find out what this car is all about. But it is one of my all-time favorites. And some of the commentary right away, people, say non-matching numbers. It's a no-go for me, especially at this age. I throw out 30,000 to start. That's cool, and I respect that. I mean, that's what we are. We can spend a whole Q&A on how to negotiate and find cars and the different tactics that we use when it comes to negotiations. I got a million of them. Some work better than others. My son recently, who's 30 years old, he came out with some really good ones lately when he buys things, so we can share those things. But Scott Stanford, one of the most one of many interesting members we have, but he is that encyclopedia. Scott, you know that about yourself, but he's wonderful. And when I post a car and find something and Scott likes it, I feel really good about it. And when I post a car that Scott doesn't like, I get a little depressed. I said I got to work a little harder and try to find other cars. But I would take a lot of what he says as gospel because he's very knowledgeable. I really respect the man. And we have a lot of other members the same at the same caliber. Scott tends to be most vocal and contributes a lot. So if you're not contributing as a member, please contribute. Get on there and start writing your commentary. I read almost every comment. I'm nutty with this stuff, and because I appreciate the time you take to put your thoughts on these cars that we find. So here we had a $44,000 GTO, and then the next post I have is a $6,500 Porsche 928. So, a Porsche 928, a 78 Porsche 928 is a first model year for the car. I mean, it's an amazing car. I mean, it's just beautiful. By the way, that's the model that I have downstairs in my basement. So I've always liked the car. I sold these cars new. I worked for Porsche Audi Volkswagen dealership in 1984. And I had so much fun selling these things, especially test driving them before we delivered them. Because, we had to make sure that, the windshield wipers worked and all that stuff. We never drove them fast before the test drives. We always took good care of the cars before we delivered them. But the 928 in particular is one of my all-time favorites. Peter Horbury was a designer I worked with. Unfortunately, he passed away recently, and I love the man. But he was a designer at Volvo that I got to know very well. And one time over a drink, he's a Brit, so there's a lot of drink stories. But one time over a drink, I had asked Peter, I said, Peter, what's your all-time favorite design? I mean, honestly, And he said the 928. And it was amazing that he said that because the man worked for Jaguar. He worked for all the European brands in Europe. And he was quite a designer in his own right. And he loved the 928. He thought the 928 was going to be timeless. And back then, that was back in the 90s that he told me this. And they were sleeping. 928s, nobody was buying them. They were fairly inexpensive collector cars. Up to like 5-6 years ago, you can find an 86 for like $19,000, and now you can't. So the cars are now going into the $50,000 over range. So that puts us in a difficult category to try to find them. So here you have a 78 928 for $6,500. It looks like the body is in original shape. The interior is dry rotted. I don't know how that happens, but it definitely where the car is parked, right? So if it's left outside or under a canopy, the interior is going to heat up with the heat, beating down through its windows. But if the body's straight and there's no rust on the car, which the photos make it appear that it's original body and the undercarriage has no rust, there is something here to consider. However, it's a very expensive car to work on. There's no shortcuts to working on these cars. I mean, there's not many YouTube videos of people working in garages on these things because they didn't make that many of them. We only received like one allocation every other month, maybe 6 a year, as a dealer. We didn't get many of them. And most of them were in automatics because we had to buy these cars on speculated stock, and we had to swap these out to other markets. And the Manhattan crowd liked these in automatics. Actually, they were a little faster in the automatic transmissions. They had a Mercedes-Benz transmission. It was a fast car, even in automatic. The shift gate on the manual transmissions are a little strange, very long, very tall shifter. It's kind of a different feeling altogether. But here we have a 78 928 that you can buy for $6,500, but you'll need some cash in your bank account to get this thing up to speed. You'll be putting $20,000 into this car. Between mechanical and body and interior to get it right. And that's a lot of money. But, if the trends continue just the way this car sits today, I feel in 10 years, a car in this condition could be worth $30,000 because the collectability of these cars, I think, haven't even started to crank. So I think the the last generation GTSs, the 928 GTSs, are going to be a $200,000 car soon, without any doubt. If it hasn't gone over, it's gone over $100,000 already. So one of my favorite cars. I love it. I love the 928s. I love the GTOs. Just happened to be that day when I found them like that. A lot of new members, which is really cool. It's wintertime. People are hanging out, looking at cars more and more. And it's really nice to see the page growing. So thank you all for that. And thank you, Facebook, too, because they recommend our group page, too, because we're a very well-run group, thanks to our administrators keeping this thing going, too. We found a 2001 Cadillac Eldorado, great car, 21,000 miles. I don't know if this vinyl top is factory or not. It's very pleasing without these stainless steel side skirts. Car ended up selling for $12,000 on Bring a Trailer. I went on there a little while ago. Bring a Trailer, when it first started, I think it started back in 2007. I didn't start looking at this site until like 2015. They were sold, I think, in 2020 to the Hearst magazine organization. So they got an influx of a lot of money and a lot of cash. So Bring a Trailer has grown tremendously. But they have to be careful they don't become like eBay, and they are taking in a little bit on the less desirable type of product lately. And their copywriting on the scripts about the cars are getting very creative too. They don't say that the mileage is unknown or the mileage sometimes is accurate. They just say that the car's got 21,000 miles shown. SHOWN. They're not really going out of their way to really give you a good description. So it's buyer beware, even on Bring a Trailer. And when they first started, it wasn't that way. But now you have to be sharper with Bring a Trailer, especially in the price ranges of cars that we shop in. We tend to focus on cars $20,000 and below. You start getting to $50,000, $80,000 cars that are being sold on Bring a Trailer. I'm hoping those cars in those price ranges are correct and as described. But like anything else, you have to be a good shopper, and you have to know your business. So always know that's buyer beware, and always know and Bring a Trailer is becoming more of a buyer beware site these days. Still a great place, though. I mean, if I had a car to sell, I'd put it on Bring a Trailer, no doubt. Then we also found a 1987 Porsche 924S. It's a pretty cool car, a 5-speed transmission. I was working retail when this car first came out, and we only received like maybe one a month as well. A lot of them were in automatics. So to find a 5-speed transmission is great. Understand, less than 7 years ago, 8 years ago, you can find a perfectly good example, for like, I don't know, $7,000, needing nothing, So this here was a Bring a Trailer car. It sold for $12,000. I went online before to check, and it actually was a good buy. It was well bought for $12,000 in my book. Again, not a cheap car to work on, but these are very undervalued cars right now, and I think if there's any upward potential, it's going to be the 924S of this vintage because the 944 turbos especially are just going through the roof lately. And that's about it. We found Crown Vics and, Grand Marquis. And if you can find any of these cars these days under $5,000, and if you need a really good daily driver, I can't tell you how much I love these cars. I've owned 2 of them personally. I wish I still had the white Crown Vic that I owned. It was a 2002. It was a wonderful car. I miss it a lot. Camaros. This was this generation, the last generation of the Camaros as we knew it growing up. Of course, the new generation came out, but this model year, 2001, especially, it's a good model year car. I think the last model year was 2002. So to find one with 3.8 liter V6, this is how most of them were sold. And I like this car a lot. And $7,900, it's a good deal. I think it was sold right away. I think somebody said finally that I think the car was sold. So that's about it. That's what we're going to do. I watched the movie Fargo. I happened to find this Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra, and I thought of the movie, and I posted it. And It's a great car. You guys liked it too. Almost 2,000 people, found this car with me as well. They like this car. So, but that's what we're going to do every week. We're going to just recap some of the cars. If you have a car during our Q&A that you'd like to have more of a discussion on, let me know. This is just my way of having an introduction with you to let you know who I am, to let you know why this site was created in the first place. We hope to grow both the Facebook page as well as the new YouTube channel, consistently every week. And hopefully you'll enjoy the time on this page and talk cars as well. So this is Rob. I'm glad to meet you all here on YouTube. If you like the channel, please subscribe. If I get 100 subscribers, I can get my own URL that says Daily Classics instead of using YouTube's URL. And so please subscribe to the page if you like it, and please give us a like as well. And I'll see you all soon. Thanks very much for joining us. Bye.